My name is Rajesh Sawhney. I'm the founder of GSF Accelerator. We are based in India. I also recently co-founded a new startup called innerchef.com in India. For a long period of time, I've been entrepreneurial. I set up multiple different businesses, but in the context of large, well-funded corporations. When I turned 45, I became entrepreneur. I chose to set up GSF Accelerator, which is a meta entrepreneur. It's a startup of startups. And a few months back, I turned a true entrepreneur, and I've set a tech startup with 5 other co-founders. It's called innerchef.com. So I become from an entrepreneurial person to an entrepreneur as I progressed in life. You see, 4 years or 5 years back when I started doing a bit of angel investing, the environment for Indian entrepreneurs was very tough. There was no mentors. There was hardly any angel investing. People didn't understand. I felt there was a need in India to set up a platform like GSF, which would give some funding, but more than that, mentoring, and even more than that, connections and help to young startups. And that felt like the right thing to do for me as my own evolution, as my own reinvention. 3 years down the line, we have funded almost 40 plus startups. 50 plus entrepreneurs in residence have been part of our journey. 100 plus founders. We even have managed to produce a company that was acquired by Facebook in India. The first ever acquisition by Facebook. The company's name is Little I Lab. Most of our companies are now well funded. Many of them have already VCs in them. And you will hear many good stories as we go along. Doing startups is a mega trend. We are at the cusp of at the start of a very big mega trend. The youngest and the smartest people don't want to work for anyone else. They want to work for themselves. And this is true not just any longer in Silicon Valley. It's true across the world. Any big city you go, you'll find startups sprouting up. And in a way, technology has made it easier and simpler to set up a startup today. The cost of doing startup has come down. Funding is far more easily available than any other point in the time of human history to do a startup. While money is important, we don't give a lot of money to startups, to be honest. More than money, what we give is mentoring and networks and a community to which the startups become part of. Most startups that have been part of GSF's batches have told me that they've enjoyed the community of other founders and the networks that GSF provides in the business community, as customers acquisition, and also as they raise the funds. The GSF connections and networks have proven to be of great value. I pay a lot of attention to the founders. We are looking for certain characteristics, and you get it by experience. We're looking for that desire to win. We're looking for innovation. We're looking for that humility and compassion that a true founder has as he tries to understand the consumer and the need for his product in the market. So first and foremost, we invest in founders. Then we invest in market and product fit. So these are some of the things that we look at while choosing our companies. And of course, we only invest in tech. We don't invest beyond tech. My current batch, for example, is only focused on mobile. The 8 startups that we brought in current batch are all mobile apps. So we're very narrow in our focus, but we pay a lot of attention to the kind of founders we bring on board. In fact, I'll go to the extent in saying that we invest in founders, we don't invest in startups. So at GSF, we take about 3 to 4 months to select our startups. we meet about 500 to 700 startups to select 10 startups who eventually join the program. 4 months are very rigorous. Out of the 4 months, 2 months they spend in India. 2 months they spend outside India traveling with us. For example, they spend a month in Silicon Valley. Then this batch is spending a week in Germany, then a week in Singapore. We want to build startups who have globality into their DNA from day one, and which are world class from day one, because we think we are living in a global marketplace. Even if the building for Indian consumers first, Indian consumers now have evolved to not accept any shoddy products. Their expectations are now of a world-class product. Post the program, we do multiple demo days across different parts of the world for our startups. And it takes another 3 to 6 months for us to help our startups get funded. Some of the startups do funding from angels. Some of the startups raise direct funding from venture capitalists. My own vision of GSF has been as a startup of startups, a perpetual startup of startups. In fact, we have engineered GSF to destroy itself after 6 months and reinvent itself. We bring 10 to 15 entrepreneurs in resident every time a batch is created, and then we let them go. They go to build their own companies, they go to work for others, they go to work for other venture firms, but then we start the cycle of creation again. And I had done this to create a perpetual startup feel in GSF. So that's one part of GSF, which is built into GSF's DNA is perpetual cycle of construction, destruction, renewal, so that we never age. I think meta entrepreneurs have a sense of immense curiosity. They start to see things before others do. They also have a desire to create a much larger impact on the society around them. They also need to have a sense of hunger and compassion. They also need, at the same time, hungry for success. And I know these are all sound multiple things, but that's what you got to do to be successful at the same time. You need to be good at many things at the same time. So some of these things put together create leaders. So most important thing is leadership. And that's what meta entrepreneurs, I think, are best at. They're best at leading the change, they're best at leading the people, they're best at spotting the trends ahead of others, they're best at seizing the opportunities when they arise. And also they're best at knowing what they're not good at. So they bring other people to work with them. Our success lies in the success of our founders. Our success lies when our companies become big and they start making impact. They become big brands. They start hiring a lot of people. When they start delivering returns to their investors. So some of these things define success for us. But it's a story that is not finished. It's a story that's evolving. And we have to evolve ourselves now. GSF is at a stage where it has to stay relevant, because we are dealing with tech industry which changes so rapidly. We cannot keep defining even our success in the same way as we defined last year. So as we go along, the meaning of success itself will evolve for us. Rajesh Sawhney is a force of nature. Rajesh needs to reinvent himself very often. Few years back, I started GSF when I was 45, coming out of a big corporate life. And I had to unlearn everything that I had to go to make this successful. I had to become a successful startup investor, mentor, a platform builder. At 49, I have restarted again as a founder of a tech startup. I have to now unlearn everything that I've learned again. And every day I get up and tell myself, unlearn. That's the only way to move forward. Don't look back. And I think future is so enormously purposeful and potentially such a creative force that you have to stay yourself looking forward, not back.